So, I am in the, why do I start every video with saying so? Guys, I'm in the Lake District. I've got Monster Monkey with me. I'm going to turn the camera around in a minute and show you. This is going to be a very quick introduction as it is a half-day mini adventure. I'm going to take Monster Monkey up into some of the Lake District's mountain passes. I've got GoPro, I've got the drone, and I've got my Insta360. So hopefully I'll be able to actually create some pretty good riding content this time round. I'll show you Monster Monkey, talk to you very briefly about what I've done to it since you last saw it. And since its actual maiden trip or maiden voyage into the Swiss Alps last year in June, which was the last time I officially rode this bike, with the exception of the little mishap that I'll put up now, as I was getting the bike ready to go away to the Lake District this weekend, and I had a little bit of a whoopsie, but not uncommon for me, completely normal actually. So yeah, I've got the setup, I'll show you that. There's Monster Monkey. It now has a set of Kenda big block tyres on it, as well as my fake Akrapovic exhaust. I've got the front and the rear suspension. As you can see on the handlebar, I've got the DJI Mini 4 Pro controller so that I can use the active track function. I'm here in my camper van and it is glorious weather today. I wish I could say as much for yesterday, but yesterday was absolutely awful weather. It was atrocious. It was raining sideways. We woke up this morning, the awning was folded in. I got my chin mount GoPro, which doesn't work exactly how I'd hoped it would. I was hoping that I could mount it the other way around, pointing from the top. Maybe it was designed like this so that you can still get to the button on the Neo Tech 2 helmet. Yeah, and in my man satchel, in my man purse, I've got my Insta360 and the drone itself. So first mission, I've only got 2 bars of fuel. I better go and try and get some fuel, and I think I'm about 15 minutes away from a petrol station. So this is the first time I'm attempting to record audio and video at the same time. They're not connected to each other, which means I'm going to have to sync them up. One, and I think that's how you'll do it. Sorry, bear with. I'm just trying to put the microphone away. Put that up there. Oh, for God's sake, I wish I was better set up. This is piss poor preparation at its best. Right, let's put that in there. Okay, I think I'm ready. I've got my little man satchel, got my GoPro, which this is annoying. I'm sure whenever I've seen them before they're the other way around, but it doesn't point back far enough to actually capture the footage, which is annoying. So first stop, petrol. I get the feeling that I'm going to get quite warm today. It's quite a handy mount as well. This is my phone on the handlebar. And hopefully I can stop sniffing as well. That'd be quite handy. Right, have I forgot anything? Got the Insta, got the GoPro. Let's go. Without dying. Feels a bit funny riding a monkey bike on my own, because it's one of those sort of comedy bikes that you ride with your pals. Doesn't seem quite as funny when you're doing it on your own, actually. I don't know, maybe that feeling will pass. I'm just riding through the campsite currently. So I'm already having equipment malfunctions in that my Chinese mount for the DJI controller is loose, and not just loose, but the actual screws holding the mount itself on are loose. I don't know how much looser it could get, because I don't think the screws could wind themselves out, but it's not something I want to take a risk on coming loose. Might have to try and stuff it in my pocket is the only annoying thing, because I don't have any space in my man bag. So I'm going to try and make that work. So note to self, and I should have known better really, because I'm used to Loctiting stuff in, but I should have Loctited that in. So that's now my jacket, which is annoying. Gloves back on, let's go and get some petrol. Okay, so we have now got a full tank of fuel. The sat nav is on. and we're going to try and figure out how to get to a mountain pass of some description. Ooh, proper bike. This way. I've done quite a lot of riding in the Lake District, but that does not mean I have any idea where I'm going at all. So let's just try and figure this out a minute. So left off here, Ullswater. What do you think? Ullswater was the first exit, yeah. So, Windermere, 25 miles. See where this takes us. Oh, a couple of things. The tyres, I haven't noticed any difference whatsoever compared to those old original monkey bike tyres. And then the suspension. I don't remember the suspension being as firm as it is, but it's kind of what I got. And what else was I just thinking about? Oh, the speedo. So the speedo currently says I'm doing 60 miles an hour. The GPS says I'm doing 47. So quite a significant difference in what the speedo suggests you do and what the bike suggests. Also, I keep forgetting that this bike doesn't have a quick shifter. I keep trying to use the auto blipper on the way down, but obviously it doesn't have one. So Skyline. Oh, he's got an Insta 360 pole. Flashy bugger. What a beautiful day. I'm very fortunate because I did think that with the weather yesterday that I wasn't going to get the opportunity to ride the bike today. So I have an incredibly supportive wife on Mother's Day allowing me to go off and ride a bike. I say allowing me, we don't really have that permission type relationship, but she's totally cool with it. She realises I'm a complete fool and enjoy riding little bikes around the countryside. I mean, who doesn't? Flat out showing 58 on the speedo, 46 on the sat nav. I'm going to see if I can save some battery for when we get to something a bit more interesting to look at. I'll try and figure out how to operate all this while I'm riding. Cruise control would be helpful if any of the Honda Monkey production team are watching. So we're currently going around the outside of Ullswater. Somewhere around here is the mountain called Helvellyn and Striding Edge. Which is quite a funny story, really. I had an app called All Trails, and I decided to, last time I was here, have a look for a mountain bike track that I could take my son and my cousin on. So we started following this All Trails app, said it was a 24-mile loop, and I don't know why we committed so heavily to it, but let's say, for argument's sake, those mountains there with the trail went up over the mountains, but you don't really realise until you're a good sort of halfway, if not a little bit further up. And then when you get that far, you think, well, I might as well just carry on. Anyway, my son very nearly died of exhaustion, and we just ended up doing this enormous loop over the 4 peaks, and it might well have been that mountain up there, but it was stunning. But yeah, my son had a bit of a hard time, bless him. It was a hell of a climb. Not only was it a climb by foot, but we were pushing mountain bikes as well, which made it all the more difficult. So yeah, this area is somewhere that we visit again and again because Ullswater is just stunning. Bit of a unique thing for me to be on a solo motorbike adventure. I am one of those people that truly enjoys spending time on the motorbike with other people. Mostly because we get to laugh at other people falling off bikes. But this is tarmac today, so hopefully none of that. The monkey bike is just dreamy. The only fault this bike had before I put it away was the damaged case on the left side, which I haven't done anything about. And then when I got it back out, the battery was flat. To be expected, because I'd left my quad lock on, and I suppose just that little LED was enough to drain the battery completely flat, and it wouldn't recharge. So I had to buy a new battery at the grand price of $29.99. And just another testament to how cheap these things are to modify, maintain and run. Excuse me. Bikers, don't take risks. 20 minutes to Windermere. Would you believe it as well? A moment ago I just rode past another monkey bike. Who'd have thought it? What do you talk about when you're riding a motorbike on your own? There's normally this experience is with friends that are on intercom. I suppose you just talk about the scenery and then you get on to common subjects, but moto vlogging, something that I haven't really been sure on how to achieve at the level of people that I watch, but I do enjoy watching people moto vlog. I did enjoy Baron von Grumble. He was one of my favourites back before we knew who he was. I enjoyed the secrecy of never having seen his face. And then I quite enjoyed his episode on Permission to Talk, where he used to just mumble on about men's mental health and his own struggles and all that. What is this? Ooh, this looks like a pass of some description, like a mountain pass. 20% gradient hills, that's what we like. I would quite like to get off-road and see if these tyres are any good. Because on the road they're actually really acceptable. The only time that you know they're even remotely knobbly is when you're doing sub 5 miles an hour. Power! I think I'm in 4th gear. If not, I'll try and snatch 4th in a minute. I don't think this is 4th gear. There's no way it would pull up this hill this well in 4th. Oh, this is a 4-speed monkey, by the way, in case anybody was wondering. When we went to the Alps, we did have one of our group with a 5-speed monkey, and it was considerably better in almost every place. That was some of the ridiculous off-road hill climbs that we did. That shortened first gear made a huge difference. And then the 5th gear just made it a little bit better all the way through the gearbox, I suppose, because it reduces the ratio slightly, but it was a bit quicker everywhere. So the 5-speed does make a bit of a difference, and that's even though we had messed with the gearing on ours a little bit to give a little more hill climb ability, because stuff like this is a prime example. A standard monkey bike would have a hard time with this. We went up Stelvio Pass, which was a very, very steep hill climb, and they were great. I mean, 2nd gear was kind of where we sat, but flat out. That was a nice little waterfall up there. I think this monkey bike's been fantastic for being able to get out and go for a little explore. And yeah, I very nearly ruined this family holiday actually by being my usual ADHD self. My attention deficit was in high definition yesterday. What is going on here? Come on. Flat out first gear, snatching second. Flat out. Yeah, because I wasn't having a particularly good time, I all of a sudden didn't want to be here, and kept suggesting that we went home where the weather was much better, but decided to get a grip of myself, hope that the weather was going to be a bit better today, enjoy the morning. But the monkey bike's been great because I've been able to just sort of stuff it in the back of the van, and if I had the opportunity I could ride it. If not, it wasn't the end of the world. You know, it doesn't cost anything for me to bring it with us. The baby enjoys sitting on it and going for a ride around the campsite. And ultimately I've managed to get away on a little mini adventure today. And it's just meant that I can just step away from what I would consider the boredom. Having quite severe ADHD and just a touch of autism means that sitting down and resting is not something I enjoy doing. I find that I feel really guilty for sitting down and doing nothing, and just don't enjoy it at all. We've got a race on here. I don't enjoy resting. I find it really frustrating. And just constantly have to be moving, which is I think why I enjoy motorcycle holidays so much. Because you're constantly moving, there's always a goal, there's always somewhere else to go and explore, and the only time you stop and rest is when you truly have had enough of riding. And my motorcycle trips typically involve 10 to 13 hour riding days, and just seeing all this, you know, like everywhere we go is always like a mountainous region, always something different to look at. I just enjoy every single part of this. It doesn't really matter what bike I'm on either. You know, I could be on, I suppose it does to a degree, I wouldn't want to be on a sports bike. Years ago I gave sports bikes up because they were uncomfortable. But this is fine. It's not the most comfortable bike in the world, but it'll get me by. And in the summer last year with the boys, I think we covered something like 1,500 miles on these monkey bikes. Completely acceptable place to sit for 6 or 7 hours a day. So yeah, I mean, it's a nice break for me to be able to get away on a bike in the middle of a family trip, and my wife is very understanding of my plight and that I cannot sit still for more than 5 minutes before getting incredibly frustrated and stressed out. So we had this, and we also brought the e-bikes as well. The e-bikes are great because obviously my wife can get involved in that, so can the baby, and it has a similar kind of feel for me. Obviously you just can't go as far afield. As now I'm right over the other side of the mountains that we were at this morning, so we were over the other side of those mountains on the mountain bikes. KTM. I wonder if it's too windy to get the drone out. It'd be quite a good road to follow on the drone. Yeah, so one of the other things that's come up recently is I'm very interested in swapping the engine on this monkey bike to something a bit bigger. I'd quite like to swap it for like a 250 or a 300cc 4-stroke. I've done very little research. That is pretty much all the information I have on what I'd like to achieve. There's the 180 kits and whatever else they sell, they seem okay, but it's a lot of money for a very limited gain on power. At least I think it is, considering you could buy any number of 250 or 300 4-stroke bikes for the same price, and with a hot metal glue gun could probably make it fit. So I'd like to explore that, as I think that is the one thing the monkey bike is missing, is that little bit of power. It'd be so cool if they did just a slightly bigger capacity one from the factory. Even like a 200cc would have been good. I know they were originally meant for CVT riders and learner legal bikes, but I definitely think there's more of a full bike license holder following, as almost everybody I see on a monkey bike has a full license, and this is just a fun bike. Oh, we're back in the helmet. Quick pit stop. We're going to see if we can get this drone to follow me up the mountain back towards Ullswater, and then I think I'm going to see if I'm brave enough to go for a swim in the lake. Oh. Right, onwards and upwards. Got my satchel, my man bag. Oh god, this bloody GoPro. It like sits so low that when I turn my head it like bumps my shoulder and stuff, which is incredibly annoying. I was riding around with the camera off a minute ago just thinking how peaceful this is. I don't know what it is about this that makes me feel so at peace. Riding a motorbike, that is. There's something about it that just makes you feel free. I don't feel like I have to be anywhere. I don't feel like I'm in a rush. You've just pulled out in front of me. Not that you could be in a rush on a monkey bike, but you know what I mean. It's just got to be like the ultimate leisure sport. I can't think of much else that is as relaxing for me. And don't get me wrong, as of late, I've been far more interested in off-road riding than I have been on tarmac. So this actually is quite rare for me, being on the tarmac for such a long time. But it's really easy to ride on tarmac when you've got views like I've had. And on the way back, I am just trying to make it up as I go along, trying to remember which way I came in. Yeah, it's been incredibly freeing to be on the bike. A little boring, I have to admit. Being without friends and without the chat on the intercom has been a little boring. I've never really enjoyed being on my own on motorbikes, but it's still enjoyable. I remember when I first saw this landscape, I was probably already in my, I'd say early 30s, before I'd even seen the Lake District. And it wasn't long after I'd seen North Wales for the first time, and I was just in complete awe of it. And almost couldn't believe that it was here and I didn't know about it. I hadn't really done a whole heap of travelling until I was about 25 or 26. And then I haven't stopped since. My God, what stunning landscape this is. I'm going to pull over and see if I can get this drone up in the air and see if I can get it following me, because that would be cool. I'm actually going to take my gloves off as well, because if I have to do anything on the screen, it would be helpful. Nothing coming. And it's already lost me. Great. So pull over here. So that was a great first attempt. Oh, nice Africa twin, he's getting along a bit. Not as fast as my monkey bike though. So part of my mission with all this stuff, with all the camera equipment, is that I would really like to build a channel that people enjoy watching, that lots of people subscribe to, and that potentially this could become part of the many jobs that I do, is creating content for a channel that's watched by enough people that it actually pays for some of this equipment and some of the travel and some of the time off from work. As I enjoy watching these people, but the more I do it, the more I realise it is a full-time job. And as much as I would love to commit all of my time to doing this right now, I don't have the time availability to be able to do that. Not to say that that isn't achievable in the future, because I mean, what better life could you think of than travelling the world and recording it and sharing all of your exploration with people at home, and maybe even inspiring some of those people to go off and do some of this stuff themselves. What I'd realised was, after doing this for a little while, that I've always posted my little adventures on my own Facebook and Instagram channels, and I was a little bit surprised recently to find out how many people those adventures had actually influenced. In that a number of my friends, two in particular that I'm thinking of, have actually gone so far as to they've actually gone so far as to get their CBTs done, which is the very first step in the UK to be able to ride a motorcycle legally on the road. A CBT would allow you to ride a monkey bike. And they actually actively said that they were so inspired by my travels that they wanted to do it themselves, which I think is great. It gave me a fantastic feeling inside that I'd inspired somebody to go out and do something like this themselves. I've got a number of friends that I go on these adventures with that I suppose are inspired in one way or another because they're actually partaking in the adventure with me. So I think that's my biggest drive to recording this, or at least beginning to record some of this stuff, is that I want to share it with everybody. I want, for there to be fewer people in their 30s that discover this place or places like this, as it took far too long. And as I get a little older, I realise that we really don't have a lot of time on this planet, and being able to see this sort of stuff earlier on and showing people how accessible it is really what drives me to produce these videos and this content. And there's a number of places in the world that I might not get to visit. I mean, fingers crossed, if this becomes a job, there'll be more places I'd visit than I ever potentially would have. But there's a lot of stuff I watch from other content creators that I would never have the opportunity to see unless it was for their content, which again is just the driving factor behind me creating these videos. This place is phenomenal, and technology these days allows everybody to see it from their own homes, on their mobile phones, anywhere in the world they can see this content that I'm creating. And that gives me a good feeling that I'm showing people what my little part of the world looks like, and people that are watching this from abroad would never know any of this stuff existed unless I showed them. So that's really the main driving factor behind this sudden desire to create content. I've always created a bit of content for my business, which is obviously driven by different factors, because creating content for my business in my mind is marketing and showing people what I do and who I am, putting a personality to the things that I produce is important. But this is a bit different. This is just for fun. This is the average Joe fat dad who isn't very good on a motorbike but enjoys being on one, going out into the world and just exploring, just seeing things for the first time. And I'm thankful that I discovered it in my 30s, because if I didn't discover this until I was in my 60s, I'd be very upset that I didn't have a lot of time left to go and explore all of it. But the way I look at this now, I might have 25 years of this left in me before I can't ride a bike anymore or don't want to. And guys, the other major thing to note today is that this is the first day of spring. The clocks have changed last night and we don't get a sunset until 17:44 today, which is a glorious feeling. I felt the seasonal depression lift from my body. Fortunately, I have ridden bikes pretty much all the way through the winter this year. Been fortunate that we've had some quite mild days. But yeah, what a great feeling to be able to get out again, knowing that it is just around the corner, that summer is coming. And it won't be long until 2 or 3 days on a motorcycle is just dead easy, because you don't have to carry as much kit, you don't have to have as much protective equipment. It's just, everything gets better after this next few weeks. So yeah, guys, that's been my trip on the very short mountain pass around the Lake District. Admittedly, it was on the monkey bike, so I was always going to be limited on what I could produce, just because of the speed that this thing's capable of, and that it can't cover a lot of miles very quickly, unlike the 1290 or any of the other bikes. So worked as quite a good test really for all the camera equipment. It's the first time I've used the X4, It's the first time I've used the GoPro on the chin mount, and also the first time I've used the Mini 4. So lots of firsts today. Still recovering a little bit from a cold, so the coughing and the sniffing might not be the best thing for the camera. But this is my first official motorcycle vlog. And I'm going to try and script the next video a little better, as in try and work out where to go and what to see and all those things. I do wonder, for all the people I watch, I wonder whether or not they have like a storyboard and they go through it all and they pre-plan the trips, or whether or not it is just spontaneous like a lot of my adventures. Because almost all of my adventures have no plan. I find those kind of adventures more fun. I don't know why. I mean, a lot of guys that I follow will plan flags on maps, hundreds of different flags they've got to get to and places they've got to visit by certain times, and pre-book all of their hotels or Airbnbs. I don't know why that doesn't appeal to me. I like just seeing where the day takes me. Typically what would happen is we'd get to about 5 or 6 p.m. in the summer, book an Airbnb that was sort of less than 70 miles from the current location, and that would be the end goal, was to just reach that point. And we've got a big trip coming up next month on the 11th of May. We're going to do the Trans-Euro Trail, or as much of it as we can, in the Pyrenees. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not I can make this camera setup work for that and record as much of that as possible, as I would like to not only record this for you guys, but I'd like to record it for me as a memento, something that maybe I can show my kids one day, maybe inspire them to go out and do a bit of travelling and see where they find themselves, as my boy is very heavily into motorcycles. The baby, she is starting to show a bit of a desire to be on them. She keeps hassling me to go on the monkey bike, and she'll ride the mountain bikes, and it's all good stuff, right? Hopefully the kids are into the same stuff I'm into, and we can all share these hobbies when I'm a bit older. I did see an episode with Adam Ryman where he went touring with his dad, which I thought was amazing. I thought, what an amazing thing to be able to do with your parents, especially considering that their relationship wasn't quite as close as it could have been, but that trip on its own brought them closer. And I think things like this do bring families closer. There's some way to include it in your family life. I've always quite liked the idea of setting off on a motorcycle and having my wife and family follow me in the camper van, so that we can all spend time together during the days and evenings. And I get to ride the motorcycle, maybe some of the kids do when they're a bit older. We just all get to enjoy it together, but all get to stay together at the end of the day. But we'll see what this year brings. This year should be quite good. I've got a bit of spare time this summer. I'm going to try and focus that time on family and bikes, and try and find something in the middle that suits. See how much of it we can all spend together. And the other thing as well is it does bring your friends group or circle closer. There's a lot of people that I've reconnected with over the past couple of years that I hadn't spent a lot of time with, and that motorcycles was the medium that allowed us to reconnect, which was amazing. One of those friends in particular you'll see a lot more of on the channel this year, hopefully. So he's trying to free up a bit of time as well, with both of us having been completely inundated with work. It's nice to start thinking about slowing down a little bit and finding some time to just enjoy life. I'm hoping this 360 picks up all of this scenery, because it is just phenomenal. I've got the GoPro on as well at the same time, so I'm pretty sure I've caught all of this. I don't think there's much of it I would have missed. Just got to figure out how to stop the bike now and put this Insta 360 away. The water's so beautifully calm as well now. You should have seen this yesterday. Yesterday it was like 45-mile-an-hour gusts. Folded the awning in half on the camper van. We tried to go out twice and we're just frozen to the bone. Yeah, it was hideous. We got one more night of the creaky bed, as I've just got a fold-out camp bed rather than a proper install on the van, as it's not a camper van, it is just a van that we sleep in that has an awning on it. It's the second time I've stayed in this van. Normally I only have a single bed, so I'm quite happy, but this time I've got the baby in the bed, who's a hot water bottle, and my wife. Yeah, going to get back to the campsite and pack up, get some dinner, and call that a very successful trip up into the mountains, because having never been on that pass, I was really glad I found something completely off the beaten track without any plan at all. It just proves again, I think you enjoy it more when you're not planning it. So till next time guys, thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it goes a long way to supporting channels like mine to grow, and I can keep buying cool camera equipment and stupid bikes to ride around, because hopefully I've got a another interesting yellow Honda for you coming on the channel soon, except this one's much older. In fact, this Honda's older than me. So yeah, welcome to the Lake District and goodbye.